So what I'm doing here is re-wetting because I'm coming back to this. This is a project that we had at the my art class that I'm taking. Yes, I'm taking a watercolor class. And I thought it would be fun to do my homework on video because, you know, who can ask for more? But I'm not wetting it everywhere. I want some wet places and hard lines. Can you see that in the video? Where it's a little bit wet here and not there. And, you know, I'm not being real particular about it. Kind of like clouds, I'm after some hard and soft lines. One thing I wanted to point out that I don't think I mentioned during the creation of this video is the trunks of the trees are masked out. And I'm working around that rubbery material. I used cadmium yellow. I'm trying to remember the colors that I used when I was in the class. Cadmium red. And, was it phthalo blue? I think it was French ultramarine. That's my pretty standard. So the French ultramarine, because our goal was to only make colors from the three primaries. That was the goal of the class. So yeah, that looks about right for the green, doesn't it? So now all I'm after is just, I want that to be a little darker, I think. Oh, got way too much. All right, let's go over here. Pick up some more CAD. So you'll have to bear with me. I'm doing the video while I am in the trailer and the dogs are running around. My husband's going to wake up. So we're going to have all kinds of sounds and whatnot going on, I'm sure. I'm going to add a little red to deepen this. Oh, that's right. That makes brown. Oops. Crap. Let's try it again. Yellow. French ultramarine. I think maybe I'm going to try phthalo blue. I just overwhelmed it with phthalo blue. I think that's what I'm going to have to do because phthalo blue has a green hue to it. Because I'm after making this darker. Yes. Don't worry about that because I can use that in the branches when I get down to it. Oh, that's much better. Okay. And what I'm trying to do is just make the undercoat here just a little random. You know, because a lot of times the green stays closer to the ground and the upper branches are what change, right? Okay, so cadmium yellow, and I'm going to brighten it with some of that. No, that did not brighten up. Okay, I think I'm going to highlight just with the yellow to start with. So as I'm rewatching this video, I find it very interesting that I'm struggling so much while I'm trying to do somebody else's approach to a painting. when I'm doing my own kind of paintings, it is so much easier. This is really, I'm finding it to be fascinating, watching myself struggling so much to achieve what the teacher has asked us to achieve. This painting is so different than what I'm used to approaching a painting. Just kind of pushing it around. And I'm just going to stay with the straight cad red. Am I crazy, or am I laughing at myself because even mixing colors, which I'm actually pretty good at, I struggle with throughout this entire painting. It's quite interesting. I'm really enjoying the fact that I'm sharing with you the real true struggle of painting when you're not familiar with the subject. This is not a pretty watch as you go, follow the bouncing ball type of video. This is the raw approach. Okay. So what's happening here is we're getting some hard and soft. I just want this to have some blur and some hard, some blur and hard. Don't need it to be perfect. Because I'm not really sure how this is going to come about when the, with the teacher, she just wanted us to work on it a little bit over the weekend, or over the week while we were kind of out of the class. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I wasn't even sure what the hell this was here in her drawing. It didn't make any sense. It looks like a bush. I don't know if it's supposed to be flat, but it wasn't drawn that way. I didn't draw it. I'm going to take some of this brownish gray, yuck. Just adding some colors and differences here. I cheated. I'm using browns. Sorry. That's just all there is to it. Can you hear the frustration in my voice? This is definitely not a love project. This is a project of learning, and I'm not being so graceful about it. Getting into those browns. I'm going to steal this here. Takes so long just to make the right. Silly dog. Here I'm just doing my darndest to try to get some sort of depth and feeling and texture in that bush. And yeah, you can see the struggle. The struggle's real. Okay, so what I'm wanting to do is get some of these colors kind of on the ground in here, so like the leaves are falling. We'll see how this works. Needs to be nice and wet and thick. So in the beginning I mentioned that the tree trunks were masked out. That's why I'm able to splash like this, because I'll be pulling that greenish blue later and it'll leave the white of the paper behind. So I'm free to splash all I want around that area. Same with the yellow. And doing some, needs to be more wet. Now the gray branches are actually just, this is the, what do you call it, misket. So it's a resist, so that, I guess it was just a practice to show that how to avoid the trunks. So this is what's in, that's what's on all of these branches. So we're supposed to make this and then show up on Wednesday having worked on it. She didn't, I don't know if we needed to finish it, but we definitely needed to work on it. So here I am working on it. I'm going to darken up the top part of this a little bit. It's a wet on dry. Just to give some, I like my big brush. Just to give it some dimension, I guess, is what I'm after. Just giving it some texture. I don't like that the yellow or the orange kind of went up into that, up into here, but there's nothing I can do about it now, so I'm just going to deal with it. So this is really weird for me because I'm always so precise. So this is a unique approach for me to have a very basic outline, and then she just was like, splatter color down and, you know, and then work it to make it look like whatever. What I can't wait is to see what everybody's comes out to look like come Wednesday. Today is Sunday that I'm doing this, and see how that works out. I mean, it's kind of excited by the idea to see what everybody else came up with. So anyway, I've got to let this dry. It's going to take forever. Something that you cannot do is when you're using masking fluid, misket, whatever you want to call it. I guess they call it drawing gum. Oh, there goes my dog. You cannot blow dry. It'll kind of seed it into the paper. So there's no blow drying. So I'll come back and finish video the last of it, maybe while I'm removing that stuff, and see what ends up happening with it. But I'm not unhappy. It's just way outside of my comfort zone. So hope you enjoyed. Okay, we're back, and now it is completely dry. I splattered that I did with the leaves looking like they're falling down. And now it's kind of the fun part is I use this, what do they call this? A cement eraser to pick up. You can use your hand. Your hand works just fine. But I don't like doing that because it just feels uncomfortable. So, yeah, sitting there rolling, it just feels like I'm transferring too much oils or something, even if I wash my hands. So this way, This is a lot easier, and, you know, honestly, if you're a little arthritic, that's no fun either. So, here we go. This is, a project from the, oh, look at, oh, check that out. Isn't that fun? From the watercolor class that I'm taking from my local art gallery. I have learned all that I know about watercolor painting from YouTube, TikTok, and books that my mom had that she ended up, when she passed away, I inherited. And I also, where I've learned truly the most was from Skillshare. Skillshare can teach you just about anything. And one of their, I love that. Now, isn't that satisfying? One of their things that they teach is different types of watercolor. But the number one thing that I got from Skillshare was, it was Ellison. I can't remember his first name. He did a full course on, there we go. There's another pic. Ooh, look at that. Look at that. Oh, that's awesome. Drawing. I mean, I can draw in the sense of I can copy something pretty good. But he took this, it was like a 6-week course, and highly tracked and highly full of just tons of homework. And so there was a lot of work. There was a lot of dedication to the 6 weeks course. And you had to post up your classwork, and he and others would give you the thumbs up or critique it and give you some feedback on what would make it better or what have you. Tell you did a good job, all kinds of things. And I learned the most about drawing, which then upped my game in watercolor like you just wouldn't believe. So taking this workshop, this live watercolor workshop, I got to be honest with you, because it's a for a very beginner workshop. I think what I got the most out of, what I am getting, because I'm not quite finished yet, I'm getting the most out of it is that camaraderie with other watercolor artists. It's so incredible. I really like it. So I've been enjoying that aspect of the watercolor class. So this was our homework, was to continue to work on this project. They gave very little direction, very little guidelines on what it is that we needed to do. And she said it was because she wanted to leave it open for folks to do whatever they thought they needed to do. So here's mine with the white. I mean, I even added a little bark over here, a little tree over here. So now what we need to do, I guess, is obviously fill out the trunks. So I'm going to pick the right size here. I think a number 6 should do it. And I'm not real thrilled the way it's like stops and goes, but I think maybe we'll be able to fix some of that and then go over the last time after I put some branches in. I think I'm going to be able to just go over it just a little bit to even that out, and then down in here give it the trees a base, because they just kind of stop, and I don't really like that. Oh my god. Oh, okay, I'm good. I thought I wasn't recording. I was like, oh no, am I not recording? But I am. Okay, good. Okay, good. So I'm going to begin the time right now. I'm going to start the painting of the trunks. Okay, so the painting of the trunks. Now, one of the things that they had indicated is she wanted us to try to use the 3 primary colors as much as possible. But I'm going to, because I'm very understanding of mixing colors, I'm going to cheat because I can. So I am going to use this burnt sienna And I'm going to mix that a little bit. This is just Prussian blue that's on my palette. It'll gray out this burnt sienna a little bit. Not necessarily doing it because I think I have to. It's just because it's there. So, there we go. Yeah, kind of grayed it out a little bit. And it'll be kind of nice because everything here is so soft and gentle. So, just begin with, I want it to be more watery. There we go. Begin with a wash on the brushes. All my life, all about dog hair. Let's see. Now, I want to remind everybody, when I was in the workshop last week, I saw a lady was doing one of our projects, and she started on the right-hand side and was working her way across, and oh my goodness, it made such a mess, because she drug her hand right through it. See how my hand is resting here? So, just a reminder that, as with so many other pieces of art, working left to right is so much better. And again, I'm just starting with a wash. I will make this look more realistic and then grab a different brush to do the branches and whatnot here in just a minute. But I'm just going to start with doing this wash so we've got an idea of what we're working with. And this is wet on dry. It's a very light wash. Not a lot of pigment in there at all. Just trying to get that down so I can see what it is that I'm working with. And I may darken it up just a little bit to get the shadow in here. So which way do you think the sun's coming? I'm thinking it's coming from this direction, yeah? Because it's more light, seems to be more light in this section here. So if I were to add more blue to this, I would end up coming up with a very gray mixture, just so you know, because part of this whole deal is to understand your pigments and how they work together. So this has got, I'm using Prussian blue versus French ultramarine or something. You get different types of grays. This is very brown because I'm using the burnt sienna there, which I just love. And this is an example of why you should always mix more than you think you need. Because if you undermix, then trying to get the exact same tone is pretty tough. I've been doing it a while, and I still struggle with it. See, this is just a little bit darker. But as this is just the base, I don't think it matters, because I will be going darker anyway. I just want to take a moment here and talk about the ugly stage. Oh my gosh, this is a fine representation of that. Wouldn't you agree? This is just not the most beautiful picture in the whole wide world at all. So I am curious, what is your interest in watercolor? Are you one of the folks that just love watching it happen? Or are you one of the folks that are trying to learn by watching, getting ideas and concepts? Do you paint along? I mean, this video isn't really a paint along video, but when I do that, is that something that you'll be doing, is painting along with me? Which way do you prefer to do these videos? Do you paint along? You just enjoy watching and listening? Or, you know, what is your favorite way to go about doing this? See, that's a little bit darker. I think I'll take some of that Prussian blue, add it to there. Oh, too much. That's fine, because I need a lot. There we go. It's made it darker, but the same tone. All right. Nice and juicy. See how wet that is? And I've loaded onto my rigger brush or script liner. Depends on This one says script, and it's a silver, Princeton Elite silver, black velvet, silver black velvet is what they call it. So what I'm going to do is try to get some of these branches, some of these trunks to lead into branches a little nicer. I'm not really digging how it just stops. So, which I think is part of what we're supposed to be doing, is imagining, just adding some water, imagining how this would look without pure instruction. So it's quite interesting. So since the sun's coming this way, the dark side of the trunks will be on the right hand side. Make sense? And then we'll just come on up into the trees and start making these branches that are reaching, kind of carry the trunk on too, because I mean, what the heck's going on here? It just kind of stops. Do you think she meant to make us struggle? I think so. I think that was her whole intent. What will you do with this mess that I've given you? Because trees don't just stop like that. And I got to be honest, trees are not always my very best success. I seem to always overdo it or underdo it. It just never seems to happen just right. There's a tree going on right here. A little branch going on. Going up into there. A little bit more water to kind of wash this down. Because it's going to be pretty shadowed by that tree hitting it, right? So this one can be a little bit darker. Still got plenty on my brush. So, not bad, not bad. More water, more water. Blend that with the water, using the water to get that blended up a little nicer. Well, let's see where this goes. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on some texture in the trunks themselves. But, excuse me, in order to do that, I got to dry it off a little bit. So sorry about the sound. It doesn't have to be bone dry, but it certainly needs to be more dry than it is right now. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so these are my silver, my, I could never remember, the Princeton black silvers. They're just amazing. I love these brushes for texture and whatnot. They're 50% natural and 50% synthetic. So they're incredibly texturizing versus the Princeton Elite, Aqua Elite Princeton that are 100% synthetic squirrel. So I love these. They've got great bounce. These are a little bit more rough and textured. See how it like gets fuzzy? Let's see. Let me get close up. See how that gets all fuzzy versus the bounce on that. And then my one and only Kolinsky Sable brush. Look at that baby. It's so soft, and it just, the reaction and how much water it holds is amazing. But if you need some bounce, definitely my favorite brush is the Aqua Elite Princeton Synthetic. And then the mixture really gives you some great texture. I love it. So these are my favorite brushes. And I think I'm going to need this size. And they're all rubbed off. I think this is a 4. But all the sizes are worn off of these. So may your brushes wear so much that the brush is still good, even though the explanation of what the hell it is I'm using is worn off. Okay, so I want these to be more textured, so I'm going to make it a little darker. So I'm going to add a little bit of the raw umber, and I am also going to put a touch more of the Prussian blue in there to really darken that up. See how that made that a super deep dark color? A little bit more reddish in there. Yeah, look at that. So much darker. Okay, so this is pretty juicy what I've got down here. And in order to get a dry brush technique, there needs to be a lot less water in the brush. So, and you can test it over here, see how it skips. This is a new palette and it's plastic, so it's going to skip quite a bit. But compared to, let's see, if it's fully wet, compared to that, see how there's a difference. So you just kind of get to know the brush and how it does. And I'll actually be picking up from over here because I want that dry skippy. So the brush is super, it's not wet, it's not bone dry. And you can even test it out. But I know my brushes well enough. I know what's going to happen here. So I'm just adding some bark, basically. I just want these tree trunks to feel more alive and more textured. So I'm doing the dry technique, the dry brush. I'm using the side of the brush, not the tip of the brush. Although you could, if you look here, I'm kind of, maybe, what is that, a 45 degree? You could go that way. And I will have to do that on the smaller deals. Okay, but see how that just gave that tree just a little bit of life? So yeah, on this one I'm going to have to go definitely on the tip of the brush because it's so small. It just gives it some structure. Texture, not structure. So are you familiar with the dry brush technique? Have you ever done that before? Have you used it to make bark? And how did it work for you? Did you like it? Did you struggle with it? Was it difficult to find the just right dry texture? You know, is it too much water on your brush, too little? I know for me, when I was learning, it was always the hardest. And depending on the brush you have, depends on how it does. So, since this is just a practice, let me show you. This is a size 6 and a size 4, I think, yeah. So this is Princeton Elite. It's 100% synthetic. I'll show you the difference. And maybe there's not going to be much difference, but it is a little bit more tricky. See how it brushes? And it's not as broken up. I have to be very, very careful to drag properly. Sometimes it's easier just to hold the brush by its side, where I don't have to do that with the other brush. See, this one's more difficult to get that rugged look. It can be done, but it just takes a little more doing. Did that on purpose because I want to shadow this side of this, because remember this was 2 trees together. And they were kind of side by side, so I just wanted to show that separation there. So I'm going to go back to my other brush. I like it better. Much easier. But you see there's these spots here. I don't like that with the other brush. This brush makes you work at it, but it's much more broken. Easier, much easier to do. Anything that makes it easier and more effective, I like to use. Again, you don't have to have this brush. They're a little bit more expensive than the Aqua Elites, full synthetic. But as I go about selling pieces, in the beginning, the first couple of years, if I sold a piece, then that money went 100% right back into my art supplies. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I spent quite a bit on art supplies, like discovering Arsh watercolor paper. Oh, I don't use it 100%, especially on practicing, but I do prefer it over any other kind of watercolor paper. It is the best. And then I just had to try that Kalinsky brush, that 100% Russian sable. Oh, it is just the most scrumptious brush to use, but it has its place. It's not good for everything. It doesn't have enough bounce if you're looking for some detail. Touch more water, it's kind of drying up on me. Hang on a second. Where you going, baby?
I'm gonna go get propane and run the storage and get my shorts.
All right. Well, see, that's part of the RV life. We're getting up to 80 degrees today, and we do have our summer clothes in storage. So it's time. It is time. So hang on a second. I'm going to go kiss him goodbye. Okay, I'm just continuing on. So we have a tree here. These are like two butted up against each other. And one here. Again, using... So you could use a much thicker brush to do the blend of this. You know, they always say, you know, when you're doing your art, try to use the thickest brush that you can manage. But because I kind of don't know where this tree is going, this isn't from my own head. This is from somebody else's imagination. I'm struggling a little bit with the life of the tree. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. But so I'm not feeling it. I'm just not feeling the life of this tree. But I got to remember this is just for practice and just kind of pulling out all the stops of the stuff I do know. Now, I haven't addressed what's going on down here yet, but I will. That'll be one of the last things I do. And one of the reasons I haven't is once I get this part almost completed or completed, I just want to kind of step back and take a look at it. See what the heck is going on. Doing some of these things is kind of like life. You kind of are given a direction, you know, like a path, and then you get to choose which direction you're going to go. I mean, what am I going to do with this? I don't know. We shall see. Because see, that looks too stark, and I still don't like the tops of these, the way the tops of these trees are not blending well, but I'm hoping to be able to mask some of it when I do a top layer of the leaves. So that'll be coming up in the next section here. What do you think? You like what's happening here? It just feels so weird. So in the comments, let me know, how long have you been painting? And if you are watching this and you're super brand new, can you see the struggle of taking somebody else's imagination, I guess, and trying to make it make sense? It's so important, I think, to be involved with your landscape paintings. It's one of the reasons I just love sketching first, especially if I'm not able to do the full painting out and about. So I'll do a lot of sketching before I actually do the painting. He gets so intimate with the subject, and it's really pretty cool. This way, I have no intimacy whatsoever with what's going on. I wasn't there. I didn't see where the light came from. I don't know why she stopped all of the trees right here in this practice. I'm honestly kind of confused and just doing my damnedest to make it look cohesive. And I don't know, maybe this was easier when I was new at watercolor. Maybe it was a lot easier to do somebody else's stuff, to not have any direction really of what I was doing. I don't know, because my head is just onto all the things I want to do, and that's not, I'm not really feeling smooth. Because even if I end up with a bad painting, at least it's mine. So I guess I would give this a 10 for the learning struggle, right? She got me. I'm learning something here. Or maybe I'm just making a mess. I don't know. But it has been an interesting journey, the last 4 or 5 weeks, taking this workshop and learning a little bit. I guess I have to say that I'm pretty well taught because I practice so much. So I haven't walked away with like a ton of brand new knowledge, but I have learned a lot about how to look at a piece and how to work it, and how to think about composition, where that was never really a huge subject for me in the past. Yes, you know, the typical don't put things in the center, it should have threes, S shape, you know, like to follow the path of a deal. So this is kind of a C shape. And then there's the V shape for composition. And then there's the model of 3, where you take your paper and cut it into a grid, basically, or draw out 2 lines going this way, so you got 3 quadrants, and then 3 lines this way, so you got 3 quadrants. And what you've got to do is make sure that you're not focusing on the center quadrant. That is something that I really, that concept was not foreign, but she just explained it in such a way that it made sense to me. So composition and layout really was helpful for me. And then if you do that grid, like sketch that grid, it'll help you with perspective. And like, let's say there's clouds, you know, the clouds are bigger up here and they get smaller. So let's say this is your horizon right here. So the clouds are bigger up here and they come together smaller towards the horizon. So it looks, the perspective is proper. It's really interesting. Really, really interesting. I like that. Yeah. So it's not that I didn't learn anything. I just maybe didn't learn as much as I thought I would, because it's such a beginner's class. I don't regret it at all. It's pretty awesome. So see, what I'm doing is I'm trying to put some branches in the trees. So I'm bringing the trunks forward a little bit, trying to take, away from focus up here, because up here I don't like. So, you know, if you're looking more down in here, maybe these branches that are coming up and coming from behind and whatnot will draw attention away, if that makes any sense. I hope it does, because it's as clear as mud to me. All right, as far as branches go, I think I need to just stop. And what I need to focus on now is texture in the branch, in the trunks, and that should be really interesting. Okay, he left. Got my kisses in. Oop, wrong brush. Wrong brush. I'm going to use this one. See how it starts to skip a little bit? Picking up enough pigment and then it does a little skippy skip. That's how I make sure it's the right dryness. All right, let's finish these guys here. Okay, so now we've got to deal with what's going on down here. So I am going to add a little bit of moisture down below, a little bit of clean water, and I'm going to try to make a base for these trees so they're not just sitting. So I'm using the same colors, the dark one now, and now that that's wet, it should just kind of blend in. That's the intent. So I start at the base of the tree and just kind of wash it across. It anchors the tree to the ground. The way she's got this, there was no anchor to the tree, to the ground. And now with this, there is. And I just wash that down. Does that make sense? I think so. Okay. And you can even do some pretend green. I've got some green over here. It's a light green. And this is just me being frugal, because I'm a cheap ass. There's just no doubt about that. And I'm going to make some dark green here using this leftover yellow that I got going on. Okay, let's go a little darker. And that was French ultramarine. And in here, it was some green gold, Daniel Smith, and just a touch of probably cobalt blue. And now I've just added that little bit of the darker, of the French ultramarine. And I'm just going to touch it a little around the edges. Took off some of the moisture. I'm not really making anything other than just kind of blobby, just so it's got some, again, I'm all about the texture, right? Just anchoring it down with some grasses. And I'm picking up just a little bit at a time, not a lot. All right. Kind of happy with that. And now just kind of anchoring the grasses down. Some generic dark just to kind of bring it together. There. I like the way that looks better. Now let's see if we can fix something up here in this mess. And this is a time that I think that my natural haired brush, my Kolinsky Sable, will be good because it bounces so well. And I'm going to do wet on dry again. So let me get, I got to clean this off a little bit because I need some, here's my spray bottle. Oh, there you are. Spray bottle. And I'm just going to clean up because I'm pretty much done with the brown. And just use just to clean that up. And because this is a new palette, you know, I've used it now for not even a month. Over time, this plastic will get worn down. And I used a little bit of an abrasive scrunch, like a little kitchen thing, to rough it up a little bit. But a little bit of time is usually all it takes to make it do that. So if you recall, I used cadmium red, which is very orange. And I use cadmium yellow. And then I mixed this green over here that I just kind of did. And I'm kind of happy that it went a little darker, because that hopefully will offset that a little bit. I'll probably play around in here too, because this is very blue to me. So I'm going to play around in those places. All right, so starting light to dark, I'm going to start with the cadmium yellow, and I'm just touching it in places, kind of where those branches are, just to kind of mute it up a little bit. You see how that's doing? I've got a kind of wet, not too wet. I got a little too wet there with my last little splash. Come here, cadmium yellow. Get over here. So you might be asking, why do I use, you know, this little tiny palette and then this palette? It's because this palette I use 99.9% of the time. And this palette is more of my mixes, like some greens. So this is Hooker's green, and then Viridian green that I mixed. And then this is sap green that I mixed. So I do mixes over here, and these are like fugitive colors mostly. The cadmium yellow and red are not fugitive, but they are, I just don't use them that often. And there's a Graham, M. Graham, Naples yellow, and then I have a sepia of M. Graham. Not a fan at all of that brand. And the only reason why is because it's based with honey, and as I travel all the time, what do you think happens with the honey? It never dries. So then what happens when my palette goes sideways? Sometimes the damn thing oozes all over the others. So it's never completely dry. I mean, if it sat there for like a week, it'd probably be firm enough to not run. But when we're on the road, we pick up and move very frequently, like every 2 to 3 days or every day. And then, you know, the longest we usually stay in any one place is like 2 weeks. I mean, one time we stayed someplace, Ironwood National Forest. We stayed there for nearly a month, a little over a month actually, and that was horrible. It was because our motorcycle needed a part, and the part took 2 weeks to come in, and then it was the wrong part. So we had to reorder and had to wait another 2 weeks. So we broke the law a little bit, staying there for as long as we did, because you're only allowed to really stay for 2 weeks in a national monument or a national park. And yeah, but it was during the off season. We travel and do our thing in the off season on purpose. So nobody bothered us. Not a single person, an authority, came by and pestered us. But yeah, other than that, I do quite a bit of traveling, and in the winter months, all over the country. So I need my paints to be able to dry and not be so ugh. So that's the deal there. I'm just picking up some more of the cad yellow to soften some of these edges and deepen it and bring it together a little bit more. Make it a little bit more ununiform. That is my big struggle, is to not have things be so uniform. Oh. Doing a soft, gentle, washy, watercolor-y type of painting is something that I strive for, but it's just once in a while, if I follow a tutorial, I can get a nice painterly looking result. But mostly, I definitely have a tendency to go more detail. So this is a challenge for me. This particular picture that our teacher had us do, this is extremely challenging to me because this looks very messy and very unsatisfying. I'm not a super fan of this, but I also know that as time goes by and I get further away from it, I'll like it more. I'm just going to kind of unblue this a little bit down here. It's kind of amazing how far watercolor goes, just a little bit. You think, oh my gosh, I'm out of paint when you look at that palette, but I'm really not. Yeah, does that make that look a little more, less blue? It's because of the color mixing, trying to stick with the 3 colors that she wanted us to. It can be done, but it's a challenge I don't need, want, desire. All right. Okay, I just need to let this puppy dry. I think I'm done. Oh, what do you think? So we'll pull the tape here in a second, and I'll give you a trick on how to pull that tape, because that's kind of cool. Okay, everything's dry. It's not 1,000% bone dry, but it's like 99% dry. So I was at the workshop and failed to bring a board. So I just used the back of an Arches pad and just pulled the paper out of there and just used the pad to secure this down. And the thing is this tape has been on here for like a week. So I'm going to try and see how well it comes off. But if there's a problem, the beauty is you use just a little heat gun on it and it'll pull right off. So we'll try it first. See if it starts pulling up paper. Nope, it's doing pretty good. Nothing like a great tape pull, right? It's so satisfying. Alright, let's see. In here. I got a little spillage. So probably in class, I didn't run my finger around the tape. So when you put the tape down, you run your finger like this to secure it in place. I probably didn't do that. That's why I've got so much. And this was an extremely wet application. So just a little, there's what happens if you don't do a good job of securing your tape down. And yeah, so lesson learned there. I was so fluttered getting everything ready. So there you have it. I can go through and use Dr. P.H. Martin's white, bleed-proof white, and touch up the edges if I wanted to. But 2 things. This is just for a workshop. I would never try to sell this. I'm not even going to probably display it. It's just a project. So I'm not going to go through the pain and suffering of it. So, but yeah, if I ever have any bleed through the tape like this, I just use this and touch up the edges and it works just fine. and that works there. So we'll see what the teacher says. I hope this is decent enough. Not a super fan of the approach using the masking and then stopping like at the tops of these. So hopefully she'll give us a, if you do this, this is how you do this, because I certainly wasn't really sure. But what do you think? I guess not bad for a project. So anyway, happy painting to you. I love you all very, very much, and I'll see you in the next video.